This show is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, a company that produce a wide range of wargaming rules for various periods. They have recently released I Am Being Shot Mum version 3, which is a set of rules for company level actions in World War II. This, coupled with a new supplement, Battle for Liberation, will give you all the information you need for wargaming on the Western Front between 1943 and 1945. Check them out at twofatlardies.co.uk and play the period, not the rules. Episode of the Meeples and Miniatures Miniature Review Show with me, your host Neil Shuck. On today's show we're going to be looking at one of the recent releases from the Plastic Soldier Company, which is a company I've been featuring fairly heavily in these shows, because I must admit I've been very impressed with what they're producing. In this particular show we'll be looking at their release of the 15mm Stug III, or Stuh III, which is the assault gun based on the Panzer III chassis. So, as you see again from the front of the box, you'll notice that this is a box set which once again contains, in 15mm, 5 different miniatures. And actually, from this box you have the opportunity to build no less than 4 different variants of this particular vehicle. And we'll come on to that in a minute. Okay, first off, let's have a look at the sprue that you get. Obviously, you get 5 of these, 1 per vehicle, and immediately you can see there's a wealth of options available. You see, it's the usual setup in the fact of these vehicles have 2-part tracks. The track and running gear assembly goes together in about 4 or 5 different parts. The one thing I note, of course, is the 2 different hull variants you get with this particular kit. You get this one, which is for the later G variants. Also, you get this one, which is the earlier hull arrangement for the F8 variant of the Stug III. You know, the whole design was sufficiently different for it to warrant a completely different casting on the sprue, and that is something that the Plastic Soldier Company have changed in their more recent kits. I think they were perhaps slightly criticised with a couple of their earlier kits for their lack of options and changes in hull design, where the hull changed for different variants of tanks, and so they've really, I think, worked hard to change that and make their kits as accurate as possible, while also making them as friendly to put together. And let's face it, this isn't a model kit as such. This is a kit for war games vehicles. This isn't something that the likes of Tamiya will be producing, for example. So there are a few compromises that have to be made here and there, and I think we all perhaps accept that. So as I say, there are 4 different variants of this vehicle available to make from this kit, and I've got examples of all 4 for you to look at. First off, there is the F8 variant. Then there is the early G. There is the late G, and then finally there is the Stuh variant, infantry support with the 105mm gun. So as you can see, lots of different things to look at. This show is sponsored by Coat d'Arms Paints. Coat d'Arms have been supporting wargamers in their hobby for over 20 years and produce a wide range of over 150 acrylic paints. Of particular interest to the World War II gamer will be the several sets of World War II paints that they produce, as well as a whole range of World War II and military colours. Be sure to check them out at the Coat d'Arms Paint website. Okay, so let's take a closer look at each of these vehicles, and we'll take a tour around each one, and I'll explain where the different parts come from. So first off, we have the F8 variant. you immediately notice this is making use of the different hull variation. There are a couple of boxes on the side of the hull, and also the rear of the superstructure is completely different. As we take a tour around the vehicle, you'll notice, first off, things to note, we have a separate glacis plate at the front just under the gun. That's actually a separate piece, which gives the option to have slightly different setups of vision slits and stuff if available. The spare track on the front is a separate piece again. The whole gun assembly actually fits together in 3 different pieces and slots into place. You'll notice also the 2-part tracks and where they join up. I think people either love or hate these track assemblies. On the whole, they're very easy to put together, and it's very difficult to get them the wrong way around. But they can potentially have issues with making sure that the 2 halves of the track line up without being too obvious, shall we say. Well, as we continue touring around the vehicle, you can see there's separate hatch covers on the one side. Now these are the same on all the variants because the way the hatch is actually opened switched between different variants. Again, you see the back of the vehicle with a slight issue with the tracks, perhaps. And again, yeah, they'll need a bit of cleaning up. I haven't cleaned up this vehicle at all, so this is pretty much very much raw off the sprue, if you like. Tank Commander, generally okay, needs a little bit of cleaning up, I think. But that's the F8. Okay, now we'll move on to the early G, and immediately you'll see a slight change in superstructure, slight change in design, a new different hatch variant, and the addition of a mounted machine gun. And we'll take a trip around this one again. You'll see the differences. The front glacis plate the same. You'll see here a couple of issues on the weapon. There's a slight mould line on there, slight mould lines around some of the edges of the kit which will need cleaning up. But other than that, as I say, this is still fairly raw, and with just a few minor tweaks and bits of cleanup, you'll see this will very easily slot into place. The fitting of the gun shield and the machine gun are a little bit fiddly, as are the hatches. As you see, this one that I put together here, there's a bit of a gap in it, so there's a couple of bits that are a bit fiddly. I especially actually didn't like the hatch arrangement, where you've got the turret ring and the hatch at the back. The hatch actually doesn't fit on anywhere at all. You just have to kind of hang it off. I don't think that particularly works very well. Again, you've got slight alignment problems with the tracks, which I think is a bit of a fiddle, which I just haven't worked out yet. Here again, we see the rear of the vehicle with a difference in the superstructure. But generally, a very serviceable kit. Now we'll come on to the late G variant, and immediately you'll see here several differences with this particular variant. Most obvious, of course, are the addition of Scherzen. Also, the gun mantle on the L75 gun has changed, and also the gun shield for the machine gun has changed as well. This, I think, is actually my favourite variant of the vehicle. I think the slope cast gun mantle, from an aesthetics point of view, makes the vehicle look really nice. Although they were a very clunky solution to putting extra ablative armour plates on, I do actually like Scherzen, and I think this is probably, for me, the archetypal image of the Stug III. You'll see again, as you look around the back, how the Scherzen are held on the hull. It's 2 pieces. There are the separate Scherzen, and then there is a piece that glues onto the back, which then glues to the superstructure. I found these much easier to put on than on the previous Panzer IVs. I think they've improved the design of how these all fit together. Again, slight issues with the tracks, but generally a very nice looking model. And I say my particular favourite of these 4 variants. Finally, we have the Stuh Haubitz, which differs from the early G only in a change of the gun. Okay, other than that, it's exactly the same. You'll notice here you have a different gun barrel, slightly different design. As I say, this is 105mm, but basically slots in exactly the same way. And we'll take a tour around this vehicle again. Again, you have the option of whether to put commanders in the superstructure or have the turret closed. One thing I've noted here as you look at this, the one thing you do have to be careful of is sorting out the running gear. Okay, it is very easy to put the idler wheel and the drive wheels on the wrong way round if you're not careful. Now the tracks themselves fit in a particular way, so the tracks are easy to do, but you have to be very careful about how you put the running gear together because they do fit either way round, so you do have to concentrate a little bit on what you're doing. As you see, there's a nice amount of detail on the kit, probably not too much, but these kits are designed to be put together for wargaming as opposed to modelers, so they're designed to be put together to give you lots of different options but in a minimum number of parts, and I think they achieve that pretty well. Okay, let's have a look at the instructions that come with the kit. So here we have an explanation of how you make the different variants, and I really like the way they do this. Everything is colour coordinated, so as you see you have the list of the different variants down the right hand side, and each variant is colour coded in a different colour. So you have green for the Alpha 8, blue for the early Alpha G, red for the late Alpha G, and yellow for the Stuh habits. And all the different parts that you will require for the different variants are highlighted in their particular colour. So as you can see, we have changes of superstructure, changes of different hatches, different weapons, even what machine gun shields are being used, and obviously things like the shirts and stuff are identified for the late G. And then you have a quick explosion diagram of how all the different parts fit together. Again, this is showing the G, but you see track assembly goes together essentially in 5 parts. The shirts and 2-part assembly, but the whole thing goes together in about 30 odd parts, something like that. Not too bad to put together at all, actually, not too fiddly. And I found I tended to be able to put one of these together in 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. So easily assembled. I think on the whole that they look very good, and especially once you get to the part of assembling them, painting them, putting them on the table, standard tabletop range, these look excellent figure, they really do. Price point, so for this box set of 5 miniatures it's $17.50. And it also has to be noted that these are also available as single sprues. So you can purchase an individual vehicle if you wanted to, and I believe they're priced at £5 each. So there you have it, the Stug Shirts 3 from the Plastic Soldier Company. I think an excellent kit made with the maximum number of options, I think, for the gamer. I certainly continue to be impressed with not only the quality of the kits that Plastic Soldier Company are producing, but also their release rate, as they definitely do seem to be getting a lot of stuff out to market at this moment in time. I think these are a must for anybody collecting a 15mm World War II German force, and I for one would highly recommend them. This show is sponsored by Wargame Soldiers and Strategy magazine from Caravanserai Publishing. Wargame Soldiers and Strategy is a bi-monthly magazine, especially for wargamers, and specialises in all sorts of articles to get your wargaming juices flowing, whether it be ideas for scenarios and campaigns, tips and guides for painting, or reviews of all the latest rule sets and models. You'll find everything you need at Wargame Soldiers and Strategy. Check them out on their website. Well, that's just about all we've got time for on this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures Miniature Review Show. I hope you found it both entertaining and useful, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care until next time, happy gaming. Bye.